Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy day one of Meal Prep Like a Badass. I'm going to sort of jibber jabber here and wait a second to see if anybody hops on. Please disregard all of this. We are in my office. We moved about a year ago, so duh. Hey, Helga. So now that there's at least one person on, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So for those of you that are new to me, my name is Ashley Amaral. I am a wife. I've been married for 10 years. I am a mom of two. I have a 2-year-old and a 6, soon to be 7-year-old. And I'm a full-time physical education teacher. So I work outside of the home. I'm super busy. My daughter has activities, extracurricular things that are going on, 3 nights out of the 5 days of a regular work week. So I understand the struggle of being go, being out of the home, having children, having a husband, all of the things, right, that require time, that just slow us down, right? I started meal prepping and meal planning probably about 3-ish years ago. I've been a coach now for almost 3 years, but we've been meal planning and meal prepping since long before then. I used to be a couponer, which is a whole job in itself for those of you who have ever couponed. And so, we started sort of dabbling in planning a long time ago. Now, this week we're going to cover a ton of different things. I did go ahead and list for you all in the description the things that we're going to talk about tonight. I will do that each night. I will hop on here right at 7 o'clock to the best of my ability, all week, Monday through Friday. And if you guys have questions as we're going through this, definitely drop them down in the comments. And then at the very end, when I'm done sort of going on my rant, I'll go back to the questions and answer any questions you have. So tonight, we're going to talk about what it means to plan and prep. Like, what is the actual definition of that? What does that look like? Why you should prep to hit your goals, regardless of whether your goals are health and fitness related or money related, budgeting, etc. And then why it saves you money to plan and prep. Facebook is kicking you off. Hopefully that's just on your end and not my end. So I'm going to keep going, but let me know. And then why it saves you money to plan, and then where to find inspiration. So I'm just going to start at the top. I have you guys up here on my phone. I can also see the comments down here on my computer, and I have my notes. So if I look down every once in a while, that's why. I want to make sure I cover everything. But like I said, if you guys have questions, please drop them in the comments. I will absolutely get to them. So the first thing, what it means to plan and prep. So what that looks like for me may or may not look very different for you. For me, I plan for my husband and myself. He's sort of doing his own thing right now, but before we were doing the program we're currently on, I was planning for both of us. And so I plan our breakfast, our morning snack, our lunch, our afternoon snack, and our dinners. I plan literally every food that we are going to consume for the entire week. And that's what it looks like for me. Now, it may look very different for you. You may want to start small, and I highly recommend that. You may just want to start with snacks. You may just want to prep healthy things for your kids to grab. Regardless of what it is, you can take all of this information and make it work for you, right? Don't feel like you have to do what I'm saying you have to do. I'm just sharing information with you guys. You take it as you see fit. But for us, what it means to plan and what it means to prep is to literally sit down and figure out, what am I going to do for all of these meals for all of these days? And make a list. I literally write it out. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I did not used to plan and prep for 7 days, but I am currently. And I'll tell you why here in a minute. I don't want to jump ahead. And I just break it down, right? Breakfast, what are we going to have? Snack, what am I going to have? Lunch, what are we going to have? And then from there, I make my grocery list. And when we go to the grocery store, I only buy what's on the list. On Sundays, typically is when the majority, if not all of our prep happens. Now, when I say prep, I mean chopping of all of the things. I mean, portioning out of all of the things, sometimes cooking of all of the things. But I will say this, my family makes dinner fresh every night, mostly. For example, tonight we made pasta. We have a busy Thursday night, so I just doubled it, if you will, and we already have our noodles and our meat and our sauce portioned and ready to go to just heat up on Thursday. But typically speaking, we make everything for dinner fresh every single night. I chop it all, I cook it all. It's not prepped in any way. The only thing that I fully prep is everything else that we eat during the day. But again, you take that and you make it work best for you. Why should you plan to hit your goals? Depending on what your health and fitness goals are, right? Or again, maybe your budgeting goals or whatever it is. Planning and prepping allows you to take a very short period of time, well, it may be a little bit longer at the start, to sit down and come up with a plan and actually stick to it, right? So I don't really care what diet you're following or what sort of nutritional things you have to follow. You still have to have a plan, right? So let's say you're doing keto, right? Well, you have to figure out like what are all those things that you're going to eat. If you're following the Portion Fix plan, you have to figure out how you're going to fulfill all those containers. If you're doing Weight Watchers, right? You have to figure out, so it doesn't really matter what you're doing. Maybe you're just trying to eat healthier. Great. What are those healthy foods that you're going to eat throughout the week? For me, for a lot of people who think and look at meal planning and meal prep, they're like, oh, it's just so daunting and overwhelming. For me now, as somebody who has been prepping and planning for years now, for me it is daunting to think about going into a grocery store without a plan. I mean, there's just aisle and aisle and aisle and aisle of food and all of these different options. And without a plan, like how are you even choosing like what it is that you're throwing in your cart, right? Which leads me to, saving money, okay? So show of hands for those of you that log on now or even later, how many people throw away food at the end of the week, right? So you go to the grocery store, or maybe you do it before you go to the grocery store, and you open up that produce drawer or the cheese drawer or whatever, and you're just tossing out moldy, disgusting food, right? That's money that y'all are just throwing away. You're buying these foods without a single plan to use them, and then at the end of the day, or at the end of the week anyways, you're tossing them out and you're throwing them away. Or you're having to make these random ass meals that like don't make any sense because you didn't have a plan when you went to the grocery store and it's time to eat now, so you have to like grab from like a random protein and a super random veggie and like a piece of toast or whatever. So having a plan and prepping ahead of time is going to save you money. And when I say that we only buy the things that are on our list, I mean we only buy the things that are on our list. And we've been very strict over the last 8 weeks. And I will tell you that we have thrown away maybe a handful of fruits or vegetables or food just in general. We have been able to use what we didn't use the week before in the previous week, and we have literally not wasted any money at all, which is fantastic. And that's my goal for you guys, is to save money, to have a plan, to hit your goals, and to not have meal prep and meal planning be so daunting, right? Let's see. Let me look at my notes. Don't forget, drop any questions you guys have in the comments. Also, having a plan saves you from entering the drive-through at a last minute. So, and I'll get more detailed into this later on in the week, but when I sit down to plan, I look at our calendar for the week, right? So like I mentioned, we have a really busy Thursday. Michael coaches track. Harley and I are going to go to his track meet. So it's a late night for us. Michael's going to get home late. He's going to have to do his workout late. That pushes dinner back later. And so typically, right, when you have a lot to do and you're running around and you're getting home late, what are you going to do? You're going to go to the drive-thru, or you're going to go to Chipotle, or you're going to, whatever you're going to do, you're going to grab something quick. And the likelihood that quick thing that you grab is healthy or on plan is like 0, typically, right? So having a plan and knowing what's ahead in the week, planning for that will allow for you to stick to your goals, hit your goals, right? And knowing ahead of time, you can do a crock pot meal, or you can already have something planned for leftovers on that busy night, or whatever it is. Harley used to have gymnastics on Wednesdays. We always got home late, so we always did crock pot meals that day. I set it and forget it, and then we came home and we ate, right? Didn't have to worry about going through the drive-thru, so it saves you money that way. Let's see. And like I already mentioned, you won't have extra food that you have to throw away as you get better with meal planning and meal prepping, which I will cover later on in the week. Where I find inspiration to prep, or recipes to prep, I should say. They are everywhere. So it drives me batshit crazy, and I apologize in advance. I'm a big swearer if you're new to me, so you probably don't want to watch these videos with your children around, unless you're into that sort of thing. I swear in front of my children all the time. But where to find inspiration, right? People post all the time. They're like, oh, I don't know where to find recipes. You guys, Pinterest is a great place to start. There are a ton of recipes, and you can write in there, right in the search bar, exactly what you're looking for. For me, I follow the Portion Fix plan. So when I'm looking for a recipe, I search in there either 21 Day Fix or Portion Fix or whatever container it is that I'm looking for. Or I can just look for like clean recipes, simple clean eating lunches or whatever it is, because that's what I'm doing. I'm eating clean. You can just Google recipes. There are so many blogs out there with amazing healthy or even not healthy, depending on what kind of life you're living right now, recipes out there. What else is a good one? Facebook, right? How many times have you scrolled through Facebook and you've seen like a delicious looking recipe? Some of them are healthy-ish, right? You can save those videos. I don't know if you know how to do that on Facebook, but if you click on the video somewhere, you can save it, and then you can go to your saved videos and go back to them. Let's see, Facebook, Instagram has really great recipes. You can search via hashtags, right? So healthy eats, clean eating, whatever it is. People share recipes on Instagram all the time. You also probably have recipe books at home, right? Whether you got like a magazine that had recipes in it, or you have just old recipe books that people have given you. I know my mom passed down like a ton of recipe books to me. I had a few like healthy crock pot recipe books. I got rid of them all because technology, but maybe you have them, right? So you don't have to eat boring food just because you're meal planning and meal prepping. You can still have fun, exciting things. You can still try out new recipes. Look for them everywhere. They exist. Let's see, recipe books, Facebook, Instagram. And the last thing I want to say about finding that inspiration is don't plan things that don't sound good to you, right? Just because you're meal planning and meal prepping now doesn't mean you have to only eat grilled chicken and broccoli and string beans or like whatever. Don't do that, right? If you're going to spend the time to chop and to cook and to portion out and to, buy the little containers and make your fridge look beautiful and organized and do all that stuff, don't, create these things that you're like, I'm not excited about eating that, right? Like this week, I went back to a salad that I was in love with 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago maybe, but I ate it for 2 weeks straight, and then I was like, nope. Like I can't anymore. The first week it was great. I was excited about it. By the end of the second week, I was like, nope, not excited about it anymore. I took a couple weeks off. I'm back to it today, and it was delicious, right? I want you to think about going forward during this week. Think about foods that you're going to be excited about eating. Now that being said, right, if you're trying to meal plan and meal prep to hit, health and fitness goals, well, then we need to be realistic, right? Like, yes, pizza is not going to get you to your goals, depending on what kind of pizza we're talking about, right? Like candy and cupcakes is not going to get you there. So you can't plan to eat those. I mean, you can, you do you, right? But that's probably not going to get you where you want to be, okay? So I feel like that's everything that I wanted to cover tonight, just as a quick intro. Let me scroll back to questions and see where they are. Let me see here. Jenna, hey. Okay, Jenna's out running errands. That's cool. Helga, I'm guessing that you're throwing money away each week, right? so guilty. I mean, I grew up that way, right? Every week it was like, okay, it's grocery time. Let's throw out all of the things that we didn't eat last week. Let's go to the grocery store and replenish all of those things that we just threw away. And it's just money down the drain. And we don't do that anymore because we have a plan. We prep. Like today I had to run back to the store because we just didn't buy enough food. Not a big deal, right? I would rather have to go back to the store and buy more food because we didn't buy enough than buy too much and have it be wasted. It's saving me money, right? Let's see. My problem is that I can't start over until I get to a starting point. Our freezer and cupboards are full. How do I get started? Okay, so I do have a suggestion for that. So you just meal plan around the things that you already have. And that's one of the tips that I plan to share later in the week. But we shop at home first. So when I'm sitting down to plan, right, or create something, I look in my cupboards. I look in my freezer. I look in my refrigerator. What do we have left over from last week that we can use, say, on Monday and use right away, right? Oh, we have a bell pepper left. We have chicken in the freezer. I can buy tortillas and we can have fajitas. Done. All I had to buy was fajitas, and we have an entire meal with a carb, a protein, and a vegetable, right? Shop in your pantry, right? Use up those canned goods. You have corn, you have beans. I don't know what you have, right? If it's like garbage stuff, right? Like Hamburger Helper and all that crap, like throw it away. Like don't eat that shit, right? You already wasted your money there. Throw it away. But shop at home first. So that is a huge tip and a huge money saver. Use the things that you've already spent money on planning, okay? Brittany says you never know what to prep. So, I mean, yeah, just pick some recipes, right? And I really recommend that you guys just start simple. Like, just prep snacks, right? Or pick like a meal that you're gonna prep. Like, I'm gonna prep my breakfasts for the week, whatever that may be. Maybe you're gonna do like mason jar overnight oats, or maybe you're gonna do different, I don't know what you're gonna do, breakfast burritos or whatever it is, right? Pick just like one meal to start with and focus on that, and then just do whatever craziness it is that you do while you're eating for the rest of the day. And then the following week, right, you will have already mastered said breakfast, right? And then maybe you can add a snack at the same time, and just build upon that, right? Like right now it takes me about an hour to prep for the entire week. I mean, and that's like focused prep time, right? Like I'm not doing anything else and getting all this done. It takes me about an hour to prep for 7 days. That being said, when I first started meal planning and meal prepping, you guys, it took me like 2 hours sometimes because it was a new skill. I was practicing it. I was all over the place, right? I was like cooking this one thing and chopping this other thing, but then I couldn't use this thing until I used that thing. Like it just didn't make any sense. Some of the tips I'll be sharing with you over the week is how to prioritize all that so that you're doing things that make sense, right? And I've just learned that over time, right? If you start anything new, you don't just jump into it and you're awesome at it. Health-wise especially, right? When you start a new workout program, you suck at it. You're sore, you're awful, you don't want to do it, it's hard, all of those things. But if you keep going, you quickly get better at it, right? You didn't just wake up knowing how to quilt one day. You had to figure it out. You have to practice. You have to fail. You have to learn from it. So you guys have to be really gentle with yourselves in this process, right? It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be amazing, but it's going to be a lot better than probably the nothing that you're doing right now. And it's going to take time, and that's fine, but you have to start somewhere. Let's see. Helga, we eat pretty simple, but it's always a mad scramble to throw a meal together. Corn, meatballs, and pita, anyone? Exactly. So if you have a plan, right, you can eat very simply. For example, right now, Michael and I, every dinner, every night has to be a protein, a carbohydrate, and a vegetable. It has to be those three things. Well, there's not a lot, right? I mean, you can like switch up those combinations a little bit, but there's not a shit ton you can do with that. Not fancy like, right? So like as far as recipes, we haven't really been following any recipes because it's like, okay, let's pick a protein, let's pick a vegetable, and let's pick a carb. Typically the carb is a potato or a piece of bread or a tortilla, right? Typically the protein is either like steak or sausage or chicken, period, or eggs. Lent and Michael not being able to eat meat and all of that. So like eggs are happening, fish are happening, like super simple, right? And then we just pick a vegetable, green beans, Brussels sprouts, onions, asparagus, bell pepper, like just pick it, right? And then that's it. That's dinner. And it's balanced and it's healthy and it's super simple. So you don't have to eat fancy either. You don't have to choose a recipe that has 50,000 ingredients. You can keep it super simple, okay? You have 4 kids and you would like to incorporate them too. Depending on, what kind of eaters your kids are, I highly recommend, I do not suggest making your own healthy thing and then don't eat your children. Making your own healthy thing and then, feeding your kids garbage. Now, that being said, I typically have to make our own healthy thing and then feed our kids garbage because they refuse to eat healthy. Super fun. But today we had pasta. So we had noodles, we had ground turkey, and we had pasta sauce. I just kept the ground turkey out of it because my kids don't like ground meat. They ate the pasta with the noodles, right? So you can just make a small tweak to things to make it work for your family. If your kids like chicken, then give them chicken, right? If they like steak, then plan to give them steak or whatever it is. You can just make more of what you're making for yourself for your kids, or add a fruit or a vegetable that your kids like to the main dish that you created. Let's see, my hubby hardly eats and doesn't want to give any input on what he wants other than eating out. I struggle to plan what I make for him as he's not following any sort of plan. If I don't make him something, he won't eat or he goes out. So, that sounds great. If he doesn't want to give input, then you just make whatever the hell you want and that's what he eats. And if he doesn't want to eat it, then he's a grown-ass man, he can figure it out. That's my opinion. I am the cook in our house. Michael does the dishes, I do the cooking. So what I cook, we eat, period. And he's too lazy to do anything else about it. So that's what we eat. And it's always been that way. So I would say you just make whatever's on your plan. Make enough for him. Let him eat it. If he doesn't like it, he can go out. That's not going to save you money. But if he's anything like my husband, then he'll just eat it. And maybe he'll complain about it, but who cares, right? He's complaining anyways, probably. I think that's all of the comments that I see or questions that I see. Does anybody else have any other questions for tonight? Let me just go over, actually, while you guys either answer those questions or ask more questions or don't. And I'll tell you what we have ahead in the week. So tomorrow, I'm going to talk about mindset around prepping. Because you do have to get in a certain mindset around prepping and planning. I'm going to talk about when to meal prep throughout the week. And then I'm going to talk about ways to break it up. So for example, I prep in one day. You don't have to do that, right? On Wednesday, we're going to talk about how to create a meal plan. I'm going to walk you through exactly how I create my meal plan each week. And then I have a big announcement on Wednesday, so make sure you guys tune in on Wednesday. On Thursday, I'm going to drop all of my prep tricks and time savers, all the things that I have learned throughout the years. Just silly, probably no-brainer things that had I not mentioned it, you would probably mess up on over the weekend, and maybe you'll do it anyways. And you'll learn from your mistakes like I have, but I want to share all those tips and tricks with you. Basically, what takes the longest to cook or prep, what could be happening on one end of the kitchen versus what you're doing on the other, what things take the longest time, and then just some tricks that I use to get my food to last longer. I'll talk a little bit about containers and the ones that I suggest, etc. And then on Friday, I'm just going to open it up to a Q&A. So if you have questions, throughout the week, definitely hop onto these videos and ask them. But for those of you that aren't able to hop on here live, if you can be here on Friday at 7 o'clock, I am opening up to strictly Q&A. If you guys have created a meal plan or whatever, we can talk a little bit about it. You can ask any prep questions you have on Friday, and then that will be it. let's see, how do I incorporate Shakeology into my meal plan? So I was drinking Shakeology for breakfast every morning. So that was super simple, right? It was my breakfast. The only thing I used to put in my shake was a half of a banana. So that was pretty simple. I made my shake with water, 1 scoop of Shakeology, and a half of a banana. So as far as prep went, I cut or broke bananas in half and froze them, and that was the extent of it. Now I drink my Shakeology as my pre-workout meal. I work out in the afternoon, so I drink my Shakeology some days at noon, some days at 3 o'clock. So I actually make my shake in the morning before I leave for work. I make my shake at 7 a.m. So I guess 6:45, I leave for work at 7. And I put a few ice cubes in, I blend it, I put a few ice cubes in it, and then I store it in my refrigerator at school, and then I just shake it up and I'm ready to go in the afternoon. I put more things in my shake now per the meal plan that I'm following. So my shake has to be a red, a green, and a yellow, as well as a teaspoon. So that's a protein, a carb, a vegetable, and a oil or nut butter. So in my shake now, I use 8 ounces of milk. That's a carb. I use the rest water and ice. I have a cup of spinach in my shake, which I do prep on the weekends. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw those. And then no banana, sad face, womp, womp, womp. And my Shakeology powder, and then a teaspoon of PB2. So that's what goes in my shake now. So it's just a part of my meal plan, right? It's one of my meals. I now eat 5 meals a day as opposed to the 3-ish, 4 I used to eat. But that's sort of how I put that in. You can use almond milk. I don't. I've never liked it with almond milk. It makes it like thicker and more shake-like, which is lovely for people. My husband uses almond milk every day. I just do not. I don't know. It's like 60 extra calories that I didn't really need. And I drink the cafe latte, which is a coffee flavor, and I like when I make it with water that it makes it sort of taste like an iced coffee, which is my jam when I can drink coffee. All right, are there any other questions before I let you guys go? No? Yes? I know there's like a little bit of a lag time, so I'll wait just a second. I'm really glad you guys hopped on, 5 of you. A few times I think there were more. All right, so like I said, tomorrow we will be talking about mindset around meal prep, when to meal prep in the week, and then the ways to break it up if you don't want to pick just one day. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Have a good night. See ya.